benediction from Chaplain John Gerhardt, please.
Thank you, Chairman Carter. Would you bow your heads with me? Our Father, who art in heaven, we call upon you from this bruised and broken earth. Our eyes see the violence that mars this planet and even our own nation, and we are brokenhearted. We pray for peace across our world, and we ask for strength to make a difference where we can. We are humbled that the sick and the hurting in our community come to us for assistance and aid. Grant us grace and strength and compassion for our patients and their families. And would you, the great physician, bless our efforts to comfort and to heal. Grant our leaders and this our hospital board wisdom and direction as we seek to do unto others as we would have done unto ourselves. These things together we pray. Amen.
Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the States of America, to the republic which stands one under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Sarasota County Public Hospital Board, and we'll start out with a motion on the orders of the day.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to amend the orders of the day to add as item XV.3. Approval of the maximum preliminary millage rate and calendar for public hearings on the millage rate.
Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any comments? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. And so,
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the orders of the day as amended.
do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Bob. Next will be the approval of the minutes of the meeting of June 20th. Do we have a motion for the... We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion is approved. Thank you. I don't see any board reports, so we'll move to our next item. Dr. Hammond, if you would introduce our speaker today.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Today we are fortunate to have Dr. Mark Magenheim, who received his bachelor's degree cum laude from Washington University, his master's of public health degree in health administration and epidemiology from Yale, and his MD degree from McMaster University in Canada. He's been a health leader in Florida for over 25 years as director of the Sarasota County Health Department and as Florida's assistant state health officer for family health in the early 90s. He served as first full-time medical director of the Hospice of Southwest Florida, now Tidewell Hospice, from 1994 to 1999, and from 2003 to 2013, he served as CEO and medical director of the Suncoast Communities Blood Bank. He has served as chair of the IRB of Sarasota Memorial Hospital since 1993, with responsibilities for safety oversight of patients in clinical research. Welcome.
Thank you very much, and it's nice to see familiar faces and to be invited here, and it'll only take about 45 minutes, I understand, so I hope that'll work well with your schedule. I believe you have a handout in front of you, which is a summary of the slides for today, as well as some documents that we use, and we'll start.
Doctor, I think you misread. It's not 45 minutes, it was 4.5.
4.5. Well, we'll speed things up a little bit. We were going to start with a little quiz, but a spoiler alert, you've probably seen this if you've read the agenda in your packet. IRB is not an abbreviation well known to a lot of folks, but it is becoming increasingly well known in the healthcare community, and particularly among patients who elect to become a part of a clinical trial. So as you see, there are many IRBs. Our finance people might recognize the first, some of our clinical folks, some of the others. But today we're talking about Institutional Review Board. That's a mouthful, and it comes to us courtesy of, as you guessed it, the federal government. The purpose is to conduct FDA-regulated oversight of research and to ensure the welfare and well-being and safety, particularly, of human beings who are no longer just a patient, but now what are referred to as a subject of a research study. We have had an IRB at this institution since 1989. We have 13 members. We've been pleased to have Dr. Malone on our IRB in past years. Carol Ann Kalish has been on the IRB. And we have a representative on the board of the IRB from this very board, and that's the next trivia question. Who is the representative of the hospital board on the IRB of SMH? We'll let you mull that over. Why do we need to protect humans who are involved in human research? Dr. Carter, Greg Carter is our representative to the IRB from this esteemed body. There are a number of events in the past historically that we're all familiar with that have shaped the recognition of a need to monitor very carefully what happens to human beings who are asked to participate in experiments of new trials, new drugs, new medical devices, new therapies, so forth. And of course, we're all familiar with the notorious, quote, experiments, unquote, in World War II of Nazi prisoners and others. But even in this country, we have had part of a record that we are not proud of. The best well-known is probably the Tuskegee Syphilis Institute study of 600 illiterate black men in Macon County, Alabama, starting in 1932 over a 40-year period, who either had or did not have syphilis, which was, if they did have it, not treated. Even when definitive treatment was available in 1947, penicillin, it was withheld, and the legacy of that tragic experiment in our own country has led to the movement for more regulations. There were some interesting features that required participation in the Tuskegee study that you see listed here. Many of them were considered coercive, and that's one of the features now that the IRB is very supportive of, making sure that this is a voluntary participation. There is not undue influence or coercion in terms of a reward or an incentive for a person to participate in ways that they otherwise might not. This has also led to a document called the Declaration of Helsinki, which is now really the cornerstone of what we use to regulate in this country clinical research involving human beings. After 50 years, it is still widely regarded as the seminal document that this country and many other countries recognize as governing how we approach and use subjects in human research. In this country, we've enhanced that international document with our own report, largely stemming from the experience of the Tuskegee Institute syphilis study, which is coded as the Belmont Report of 1979. This is the key for any hospital that gets federal dollars. It's a requirement to comply with the principles of the Belmont Report. And of course, any hospital that takes Medicare is included in this, as we are, and which we comply with. These ethical principles very much follow the basic ethical requirements of experimentation with humans as well as with persons as patients in general. Respect for the person as an individual, a need of beneficence, doing good, justice, to be sure that those are fairly compensated, are advised of risk and benefits, respect for privacy, confidentiality, and that there is a good research design that allows us to answer the clinical question at the end of the day and are not left with a so what response because we haven't done our homework properly up front to guarantee that we have sound clinical information. The common rule is the more recent codification of all the regulations that the federal government has instituted. And this is where our CEO comes into play, because you, sir, once a year get to sign the federal-wide assurance, which says that we will comply with all of the federal regulations, no matter where they happen to be in statutes or in regulations. Fortunately, we have always been found to be in full compliance. We do get audited by the FDA, just as the hospital does by the Joint Commission and other regulatory bodies. They come about every 2 years, surprise visits, and want to pull out any files that they want and stay here a week or sometimes 2. The research that's been proposed by any of our medical staff or nursing staff or students or pharmacology students all has to be reviewed and approved in advance by the IRB. There must be informed consent. The studies are over a wide range of fields. Many of them are now done in oncology, particularly with the genetic screening and testing that we're able to perform on tissue samples, so that therapy for cancer patients very much now is individualized to that person's own genetic makeup. So we're seeing more studies in that field, a lot of cardiology studies, pulmonary studies, neurology, vascular surgery, orthopedic surgery, and pharmacology, and many other student protocols. There is also a mechanism to give a patient an experimental drug that's not approved, sort of as a last resort, Hail Mary kind of approach to therapy. The investigator or the clinician who wants to treat a patient with one of those unapproved drugs has to apply for a compassionate use permit. That goes through our IRB, and we receive those anytime, day or night. We're on call 24 hours a day for those, and it does make a difference. We have a very aggressive, well-informed clinical and medical staff who is right on top of many of the more recent experimental and cutting-edge therapies. Our IRB meets monthly in the mimosa room. We must have a quorum of at least 7, and the meeting cannot start until at least one community non-scientific member is present. And this is a key to be sure that the language that's being discussed, the concepts that are being incorporated, all make sense to the average person who might be recruited into the study. So we often have to convert the medical language into lay language and revise it and revise it and revise it and test it out with our 5 community members that you see listed there. They are well-educated, committed volunteers, as is everyone else on the IRB, but they do not have a scientific background, and it balances our tendency to be a little bit more narrow in the way we talk about things, aside from what makes sense to the average person. The typical agenda usually has between 3 and 6 new studies each month. We're a very active research program at this hospital. You can see here the meeting that's now scheduled for next Wednesday, the 27th. You are all invited, by the way, to every monthly meeting in the mimosa room, 12 o'clock sharp. No lunch is served, I'm sorry to say, but we have a very cordial, supportive group. And these are 3 protocols that we'll be considering. Each of the investigators is expected to be there in person to answer questions and present a summary of their protocol. There are also reviewer worksheets that you see in your packets. For example, Dr. Eckerd's protocol that's listed here, he will be presenting that day, and he has already been submitting all of the documentation. It's been completed and reviewed and put in the packets for the IRB members going out today or tomorrow. We're also getting a new protocol from Dr. Concha. We have a lot of stroke research going on at this hospital. Dr. Mauricio Concha is very active in terms of neurology. And we also have outside peer reviewers other than the IRB from that technical field to help us evaluate the protocol and the requirements. And we have another vascular surgery protocol with Dr. Sampson, who's also a very active researcher at this hospital. The criteria for whether the IRB can approve it is that the risks are minimal, and they're made as minimal as possible, but still able to set up a design that answers the question. The risks are reasonable in relationship to the subjects and the benefits. The selection of benefits is equitable, the selection of subjects, so that everyone has an equal chance if they meet the basic criteria. The language is appropriate in the informed consent document, and this is where we spend a lot of time back and forth with the investigator team and the sponsor of the research. And there has to be documentation that the informed consent is not just a signature on a document, but is a continuing process that is really reviewed almost every time the patient and the investigator get together. A lot of this stems from another lapse in ethical behavior regarding a woman named Henrietta Lacks, whose cells from cervical cancer in the 1930s were removed from her in an operation that she did not approve, did not even know was happening, which was a total hysterectomy. It turns out that cervical cells lived in perpetuity, and they are now a basic ingredient in much clinical research in oncology, and they're called HeLa cells, H-E for Henrietta, L-A for Lacks. HeLa cells are now used worldwide, still from the cell line from this individual, and we've now learned from that experience how we need to compensate and inform individuals whose tissue we use for other purposes. We must have a study statement that research is involved, that describes the research, what the risks are, disclosures of the benefits, if there are any, disclosure of alternatives, including the standard of care, so that any kind of protocol we use does not deny a person the standard care, but gives that standard plus maybe something else. If there's more than minimal risk, there has to be a statement about how the person will be compensated if there is an injury that occurs. We cannot deny a person's right to pursue legal remedies. The participation has to be voluntary, and at our institution, we have to specify, is there a financial interest for the investigator to participate in this study, and if so, what is it, and who should be contacted regarding those details? We're a little more stringent than many other centers in terms of the financial aspects. For example, we require that there must be a statement, and you see an example in your packet, of financial disclosure as well as conflict of interest if there's more than a $5,000 payment to the physician above and beyond the cost of the clinical services that are being provided. So that has to be disclosed and provided information to the subject as well. The future, we're concerned about a couple of things. One, there are many requests now of patients and institutions to do unproven therapy. The ethical underpinning documents do not speak to issues of untested therapies and the risk attendant to that, even though there's a lot of public interest to try experimental things that would not normally be anticipated. And more recently as just 3 weeks ago, at the end of June, the federal government released their new guidelines, particularly for multi-site trials. And this is the kind that we're much more likely to participate in these days, where it's not just one of our doctors at this hospital with a group of 50 patients at this hospital, but thousands of patients worldwide in multiple centers. The FDA is saying it's getting much more unwieldy to track all of the different things going on at all of the different sites with hundreds of thousands of subjects, so that they're now pushing for a single oversight board for multiple site studies and multiple investigators, so that our IRB will probably not be what's called the central IRB because of our size, but we would continue to be a participating IRB. We may not have the approval authority under the new revisions, but we would certainly have review authority, and we can decide whether to participate or not if we are happy with it or not happy with it. The other thing that will probably change, even though we may not have approval authority, we will have an expanded auditoring role so that we would be the ones, boots on the ground, so to speak, that would be expected to go into the investigator's office and do the record review on behalf of that central IRB, wherever it might be located. So we see anticipation of changes coming up in the very near future, between 6 and 12 months from now. The IRB will remain, I'm sure, as a very active institution at this hospital, but our role is likely to change given the changing circumstances of what's happening with clinical research in this country. So that's it in 4.5 minutes. I'd be happy to entertain questions if there's an opportunity for that.
Any questions?
I have one, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
You had mentioned we had something at our desk, your slides. I think we don't have that. We've enjoyed seeing them on the monitor, though, but I would like to have the slides.
Okay.
Thank you.
And you all have the letter. This is a typical letter of submission from an investigator.
Right.
That would include, just to give you a sense of all the documents that the researcher has to gather to submit to the IRB before it's even considered.
But not the slides.
All right. We'll get those. Thank you.
What calls for it to be clinical research in terms of the risk, and then the reviewer worksheet that you see there, as well as the statement of financial responsibility.
Good.
Thank you. We look forward to seeing you all a week from Wednesday at 12 noon.
Thank you so
In
much.
this very building, just around the corner in the hall. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you.
Look forward to it every year.
Okay, David, the Physician Excel Award.
So I'd like to invite Dr. Mahoney to come up and join me. So I am happy to announce that Dr. Mark Mahoney is our Physician Excel Award winner for the second quarter. He's an emergency medicine physician with Sarasota Emergency Associates and works in our urgent care centers. We received many nominations for Dr. Mahoney. His peers describe him as an amazing physician and a great person, and they say so much more. Dr. Mahoney's dedication to his patients is unparalleled. An excellent attentive clinician, he also goes above and beyond, personally calling patients at home to check on their condition. He's often mentioned on patient surveys, described as being informative, thorough, and helpful in making patients feel respected and not rushed. His peers value the time he makes for them too, from professional mentoring to pie-making expertise. Did you bring one today? We talked about this at Management Council. Yeah, all right. That's two, right? Okay. Dr. Mahoney has personally taught me more than any physician I've ever worked with. He thanks his staff every night before he leaves. The simple thank you means so much. It's not uncommon to hear, Dr. Mahoney's working, I'll take that extra shift. So thank you, Dr. Mahoney, for your medical expertise and also showing us the spirit of generosity. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'd love to hear from you.
Well, I came down here today for several reasons, mainly out of respect for Sarasota Memorial Hospital. I've been fortunate to be on staff here now for 18 years, and it's much easier to work in our emergency department or in the clinics than it is to come in and get an award. Typically, the best day that you could have in the emergency department is for things to run so smoothly that no one even remembered that you were working that day. That all of the patients that needed to be admitted were admitted and all of the tests were done properly, and the staff they were able to do their job quietly and efficiently, and no one even remembered who worked that day because there were no problems. So receiving recognition for working here is somewhat uncomfortable for me. However, I'm grateful for the opportunity to get up here today and thank the people that have made this possible. And I work with some amazing people, and it's important to realize that in our emergency department and our outpatient clinics, that some of the physicians that we've had have been on staff here for more than 30 years. And that's 30 years worth of days, nights, holidays, and weekends. And working in our department is an incredibly difficult job. It's very rewarding, and there's not a better place that I'd like to be. However, the people that I have worked with, I've stood next to some amazing doctors, amazing nurses, amazing staff. And the last few years, our department has really enjoyed the working environment since Mr. Verinder has taken over. I think it's obvious our outpatient clinics are booming, almost 80,000 visits last year. We have a new trauma program, and all of the physicians in our group are much more at ease and relaxed over the last few years than they have been, perhaps since I came on staff here. But I'd like to say thank you to the people that I've worked with. We have some excellent leaders in our department too, Dr. Gerber and Dr. Holland. And of course my manager, Kim Emmerich, who's here with me today. Appreciate her support. And our outpatient clinics, which have been thriving, and I've been part of that now for full-time for the last 4 years. And I'm grateful for their expertise, Mr. Frank Morgan and Jen Storch, who are here with us today also. So I'm still glad to be part of Memorial Hospital, and thank you so much for having me today.
That has to be one of the best. Oh, hold on, Doc. That may be one of the best speeches I've ever heard for somebody who doesn't like to give talks. I will tell you, it has nothing to do with me, what you guys are doing and having an excellent care. It has all to do with you and your partners and the staff we have out in those centers. So we appreciate everything that you do. Mr. Carter, since Mr. DiVirgilio isn't here today, we have a plaque. Would you like me to read this?
Yes, please.
Okay. So the Physician Excel plaque, we're going to let you have this time. Okay. So Excel recipients are physicians who are recognized as role models of excellence, superior in performance. They are leaders who constantly demonstrate a collaborative team approach in their work. These individuals strengthen the quality of patient care and the image of Sarasota Memorial Healthcare System in our community. The hospital board and administrative staff of Sarasota Memorial Healthcare System recognizes Dr. Mark Mahoney with the Excel Award for the second quarter of 2016. Thank you for your continued dedication, as signed by myself and Mr. Carter as chairman of the board. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Mr. Carter, would it be okay, if it's okay with you, I'd like to make a brief departure from the agenda.
Very well.
Okay. We recently lost a long-time and well-respected member of the Sarasota Memorial family, Dr. Harry Speck. Was a physician in Sarasota for over 35 years. He served on the hospital board and as chief of staff. We have his son, Stephen, and I think, is Judy here as well? Okay. Okay. Along with Mr. Tollerton to make a quick presentation in Dr. Speck's memory. So if you two could join me. Appreciate it. Both of you. How about that?
Thank you very much. I'm Steve Speck, and my father loved working here at the Sarasota Memorial Hospital, and he believed in the foundation, its mission. And so with Jim Tollerton's help, we were able to, they developed a charitable remainder trust. And I have a check here for the Sarasota Memorial Healthcare Foundation on behalf of my father for $139,912.70.
We're lucky that we have the board, our board-elect chair. Did I say that correctly, Jim?
You said that correct.
Mr. Seifert here, and so why don't we...
Thank you very much. Hey, you need to take us to lunch now.
Lunch is included. Yeah.
I would like to say that I knew your father over the years, and he's a great man. Thank you very much. Yeah, his dad's funeral is at Toll Brothers. If anyone wants to be able to attend, it's this Saturday at 2 o'clock at Toll Brothers downtown.
Thank you.
Very much.
Almost the exact height.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Our Excel winner and third quarter leadership award winner are not available. They will be back in August. We will present those awards to them then. So we'll move to our next item, which is the report of the medical staff. Dr. Hammond.
Okay. First, we have a proposed motion. The medical staff is recommending to approve medical staff 01.MD.11 proctoring policy, which has been approved at credentials and PPEC.
I move approval of the medical staff proctoring policy as recommended by the Medical Executive Committee.
Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Next, the medical staff would like to recommend approval of the medical staff psychiatry department rules.
I move approval of the amended rules of the Department of Psychiatry as approved by the department and recommended by the Medical Executive Committee.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Questions? Comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
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 Opposed? Motion passes again. Thank you.
And next, the medical staff recommends to approve the medical staff cardiac thoracic surgery privilege form.
I move approval of the cardiac thoracic surgery delineation of privileges form as recommended by the Medical Executive Committee.
We have a second and a motion. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
If it's okay with you, Mr. Carter, I received a lovely letter of appreciation from family members, and I would like to read it to the board if that's okay.
Please do.
Okay. Dr. Hammett and cardiology staff, this letter of appreciation and thanks is concerning the recent cardiac bypass surgery and recovery at your facility of Robert Tilton on April 28, 2016. First and foremost, we would like to convey our deepest gratitude to your doctors and hospital staff. We found all the staff willing to go above and beyond their duties to make our family feel welcome and informed. I will mention only a small number of your staff, but please be aware that from the greeters downstairs to the surgeons, we found positive attitudes and generous smiles. Not in order of importance, but for recollection purposes, we would like to say that your clinical coordinator, Damian Ricwa, is doing a fantastic job. He assures staffing is sufficient and well-trained. Mr. Ricwa visited Mr. Tilton's room multiple times preoperatively and ascertained our knowledge of the impending bypass surgery and gave us information concerning what to expect and where the patient would be during the process. His conversations and humor were much appreciated during his visits. Next, we would like to honorable mention for the ICU staff preoperatively. There were so many staff that individual names cannot be recalled, but nonetheless, each and every member of the team contributed to a positive experience. The nurses were kind, informed, and always prompt and courteous. They explained to the family and patient what to expect, helped prepare us for the postoperative experience, which we feel is of utmost importance in hindsight. The staff set up our iPhone for a surgical app, which was most assuring and helpful during the entire surgical process. This app allowed us freedom from the surgical waiting room and kept us updated on Mr. Tilton's progress through surgery, even when he was due to go into postoperative care. I would like to say that this new technology alleviated a great deal of stress and concern, and we hope this system continues. Also, the anesthesiologist came into our area, clearly reiterated the surgery process, as well as to what expect in recovery. He ascertained our understanding of the circumstances and was most patient with any and all questions. Again, all the operative staff were empathetic and understanding. Next in order of events was the positive experience we had with the postoperative cardiac unit. The staff, again, names are not recollected, were professional and extremely informative and personable. The nurses alleviated many of our fears, and as one can only imagine, in post-cardiac surgery, we had many, and reassured us that our loved one was progressing quite well as expected. They took great care of Mr. Tilton and forever have our gratitude. Dr. Fung, the cardiac surgeon, met with us after surgery and allayed our concerns. He assured us that all was well post-operative. He was truly personable and even shared personal experiences concerning his family. It seemed as though he were an old friend. Our family could not have been more satisfied with the services provided by Dr. Fung and his surgical team. In summary, Dr. Hammond, we were more than impressed with your facility and staff. Everyone is doing a great job, and we only wish that all medical facilities were of the same noble character and quality. Thank you all, John and Patty Radford, son-in-law and daughter.
Nice.
Good. Thank you very much, Doctor. Our next item is the auxiliary report from our president, Ed Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This past month has been a very busy period of time for our group of volunteers. Along with the increased patient, visitor, and staff demands, coupled with normal volunteer vacations, we have been stretched. We will enjoy the team volunteers for the next 4 weeks before they return to school. The retention level is very high with this program, so we do anticipate having the majority return for the fall school term, helping from 3 to 8 after school, often the hardest period to recruit adult volunteers, as many do not drive after dark. Our auxiliary board has had several meetings in an effort to create a positive change to our organization. While we are mostly noted for providing scholarship funding for local graduating seniors who wish to enroll in college medical programs, we also wanted to redefine our auxiliary services, how we can make our association better serve the hospital. Discussions about what our current role is and what our future role could be have been taking place. Our auxiliary has been in a constant state of change for the past few years, and identifying the important services is our priority. while reforming or eliminating the non-critical services as well. We are continuing to search for alternative means of securing funding for scholarships. In these searches, we are finding many charities are doing the same thing, and as a result, competition is very tough. One such source that we've identified is the Patterson Foundation. It is offering a very special event in September where they will reward charities such as ours with matching efforts by as much as 3 times the amount generated. Our organization is very focused on this initiative. Regarding volunteers, Ms. Berteau also led the orientation of 12 new volunteers at the Northport facility on June 24th. I was asked to assist for a part of the session. The material presented was very similar to the one used at this facility with minor changes. That number completed the full complement of requested volunteers to fill the schedule down there. One of the highlights of the meeting was a talk about security in and around the facility there. This is a very timely subject, and the talk was masterfully done by the head of security, Chief Rich Miller. That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed. Our next report is the Sarasota Memorial Healthcare Foundation. Jim Seifert.
Thank you. The first item I would like to report on is the Foundation's national search for a new president, and I would like to tell you that it's moving along very well. We recently received direct telephone calls from the chairman of our search committee from Gail Freeman of Freeman Philanthropic Services. The response to the materials they put on the market has been excellent. She has identified what she described as 10 very good fits for what we're looking for the president role. And, excuse me, and our chairman of the search committee is in the process now of getting a date scheduled for Gail to be here personally with the paper resumes of each of these 10 people so that she can supplement those resumes and take us through the process of culling down effectively the 10 resumes to the 4 best candidates that we can identify from that list. The dates we're looking at for those potential meetings, or that potential meeting, which will take at least a full day, is August 8th, the 17th, and the 18th. It is our sincere hope that we're able to get Gail Freeman down here on the 8th, which would give us an additional 10 days to get in contact with each of the candidates. The candidates would be hopefully interviewed the first part of September, and the selected candidate hopefully able to deal with their current employer and occupation so that they could be here within 30 to 60 days would be our hopeful time frame for that. So that would have us with a president for the foundation sometime in late October or mid-November. So that's the target date we're shooting for. The next items I'd like to touch on briefly would be the events that are scheduled. And before I speak to the events for just a moment, I'd like to say that the foundation is functioning on all cylinders. It is doing very well. It is moving forward at a pace this summer that equals or exceeds accomplishment as the summer is progressing. So I really and truly can take no credit for that, nor can any of the individual members of the board or the trustees of the board. But staff has risen to the occasion, and they are really performing exceptionally well. And examples of that are, I hope each of you have received the 2016-17 Sponsor Opportunities pamphlet that is put out. And it is sent to thousands of people in this county that have supported the foundation in the past and that are new potential prospects for supporting the foundation. This is one of the things that has gone out earlier this year so that people can begin to make their plans more quickly and with better timing for the support opportunities that arise. The other events that are scheduled, and I apologize for my voice breaking here, but it's got some sort of sinus thing going on, and it just cracks on me, and I can't stop it, it doesn't seem like. The Key to the Cure event, I want you to take special note of this date because it is a date change. It is changed from the 20th to the 27th of October 2016. That change was the result of a Saks Fifth Avenue decision made in New York. And it affected every Saks store throughout the country. So that event is and occurs throughout the country on that date. And so we were sad to see that change occur since we had just moved out or mailed out all of our information about the 20th. But hopefully everybody has also now received the date change information. The Corinthian Gala, which is December the 1st, will be at Sarasota Yacht Club. We look forward to each of you that will be in attendance, and the attendance looks good again for this year. Women in Medicine will be at Michael's on East this year at noon on January 27, 2017. That is one of those dates where it is the incredible help from Sarasota Memorial Hospital with providing medical speakers on the subject matter, which will be women and heart conditions. And one of the interesting facts that I have learned recently is statistically, more women die of heart attacks or heart-related deaths than from cancer. And that was a very surprising statistic to me. I did not think that would be the case. But this seminar this year and the medical speakers will be telling women what they can do to improve their health and their prospects. And I'm sure just the listening of that part of the program will help each of we men that will be there also. That is essentially completes the report that I have for this meeting. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Thank you very much, Jim.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. We'll move to the Secretary's report. Bob Strasser.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tuesday, the 2nd of August, would normally be a committee meeting, but there are no committee meetings in the month of August. The first meeting in August would be on the 15th, Monday the 15th, 11 o'clock, review of financials, 11:30 review of the peer review, and 1 o'clock, the public board meeting. There is one other meeting in August, and please note this down, it's very important. On the 24th, Wednesday the 24th, 8 o'clock, a budget retreat in the Papaya Room. And that's the schedule for August, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Strasser. Next is our treasurer's report, and I see Joe is not here today. If
It's me.
Jim could give that report, please?
Please, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move approval of the bad debt and charity care for the month of June 30th, 2016, in the amount of $15,036,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next, we have the operations report with CFO Bill Waldron first.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I have the financial highlights for June. And we'll start with operating revenue for the system. For the month of June, we had operating revenue of $57,924,000 compared to a budget of $51,479,000. Fiscal year to date, and this represents 9 months. We've ended our third quarter fiscally. Operating revenue of $532,619,000 compared to a budget of $502,290,000. Total expenses for the system for the month of June, $54,634,000 compared to a budget of $52,889,000. For the 9 months ended June, total expenses of $512,855,000 compared to a budget of $494,997,000. Operating income for the system for the month of June, $6,462,000, which generated an operating margin of 10.4%, compared to a budget operating income of $1,323,000, or operating margin of 2.4%. Fiscal year to date through 9 months, operating income of $45,029,000, which generates an operating margin of 7.9%, compared to a budget of $31,983,000, or a budgeted operating margin of 6%. On the hospital statistics, and these are year-to-date numbers, our average daily occupancy for the 9 months, 482 average daily census, compared to a budget of 445. The average length of stay, 4.63 days, compared to prior year, 4.77 days. Admissions through 9 months, 24,276, compared to a budget of 20,877. Continuous statistics for the hospital, our surgery cases through 9 months, 16,273, compared to a budget of 15,523. And births, we've had 2,570, compared to a budget of 2,505. Looking at hospital outpatient registrations, the actual through 9 months, 323,961, compared to a budget of 330,832. Emergency care center registrations, 94,780, compared to a budget of 84,878. And through 9 months, our case mix index for all patients, 1.86, compared to and for Medicare patients, 1.97. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report unless there's any questions.
Questions for Bill? Thank you, Bill. Now we'll have our operations report from our Chief Nursing Officer, Jan Malk.
Good afternoon. Just like to mention that our volumes have continued to remain high through the summer months. In June of this year, we had an average of 420. But I have to say, in July, we've had over 500 on many occasions, which is kind of unheard of. So I want to thank all of the staff and physicians for all their hard work in making sure that we can well attend all of those needs of the patients that are here. I'd like to first start with some of the things that are going on around us with the facility. Here you'll see a picture of the ICU 4EA. As you know, and as you approved, we are renovating and upgrading all of our ICU pods, which there are 7, which a total of 62 beds. And we are opening 4EA. That means you can see here in the picture on the 2 graphs. One is just them preparing, and the second is you can see the new booms that are up off the floor, make it safe for the staff and easy to get around the patient, and you can see the upgrades of the room. We have 2 more units to go before they're all completed, and our goal is to have that done before the season starts. And with our support from our facilities, we anticipate that that will be done so that we can handle the volumes that come our way during the season. This is just the nurses' station that's being upgraded so you can see, and I know the ICU staff, as Connie will attest, are very happy with the work that's being done. The next area is the angiography suite, and you as a board approved $2.3 million to add a 3rd angiography suite. We are pleased. You can see here the demolition, and on the right-hand side you can see where they've put in the equipment. We are pleased to announce that ACA will be inspecting them this Friday, and they will be working with applications so that we can train the staff, and the suite will be open on August 1st. So we will have a total of 3 rooms. This one is a multi-purpose room, but it's primarily to handle our cerebral interventions and for our strokes. Year to date, the volume in interventional radiology has been 19% over budget and 23% over last year. You can see very needed facility. And this is our nuclear medicine camera that you also approved, and it will be completed next week. You can see the equipment there. It's on the 4th floor, and it will be a more versatile room so that we can add new tests and expand our business. So we're very pleased about that. The other announcement I want to make and very proud of, and that is that we are opening a med-surg trauma unit. With our level 2 designation, we are very pleased that we are able to expand our program in the progression that we planned to have a unit that will be taking all of our trauma patients. Right now, they're on 3 different units, which makes it a challenge to train and educate all of them, and for more consistency of care and efficiency, we are pleased to say that on August the 2nd, we'll be opening 20 beds for a trauma unit on 7 Tower A. Sue Olson, the director of ICU and in charge of the trauma program, will be with Brad Thompson, who will be the leader on that unit, opening this unit in coordination with Dr. Brockhurst and the trauma surgeons. The next event I want to talk about, and maybe you are aware, but if you're not, I'd like to share with you the opportunity that we have with our mothers every month and train them on how to learn to take care of their babies, breastfeeding, all those things that they need to know. This is a picture of a celebration that they had. One of the lactation consultants was retiring, and they wanted to all get together. So you can see how engaged the group is and how supportive they are of the services that we have in the community to help our community be the best parents that they can have, and also to provide support so that they can learn all the things that they need to know to be good parents. And last, I'd just like to say that we had 2 of our members go to a national conference. As you know, we always work towards a culture of safety, and our Team Steps is one of those tools we use. And Pam Beitlich and Renee Marta also went to a national convention, were asked to speak on the presentation of implementation of Team Steps in the mother and baby areas and children's. And so we're very proud of them, and as we move forward with our culture of safety and Team Steps throughout the organization, we're glad to have them as a resource. So that ends my report, unless you have any questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jan. We'll move to our committee reports and start with the Quality Committee. Dr. Margaret E. Malone.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. The Quality Committee did meet on July 5th, and per state law, that is a meeting that is not open, so I have no report at this time.
Thank you. Next is Finance Committee. Mr. Strasser.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance Committee met on July the 5th. The first item was air handlers replacement system-wide. Jim Bugas, Director of Engineering and Campus Facilities, presented the ongoing program of planned replacements of air handlers throughout the hospital system. We have approximately 180 units in service, which, excluding the new courtyard tower construction, are 20-plus years old. Each replacement will cost between $100,000 and $350,000, depending on size, location, and scope of work. The project will run 2 consecutive fiscal years, with $850,000 budgeted in fiscal year 16 and $150,000 budgeted in fiscal year 17. Mr. Chairman, at this time, I'd like to propose a motion. I move approval of the funding for the air handler replacement project in the amount of $850,000 in fiscal year 16 and $150,000 in fiscal year 2017, for a total cost of $1 million.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
The second item is Selection Committee ranking recommendation for the Orchestrate Systems project equipment installation. Jim Bogus was again very busy, Director of Engineering and Campus Facilities, discussed the Selection Committee's ranking of the contractor for the installation of the Orchestrate Systems project equipment. The Selection Committee was composed of members from Information Systems, the Operating Room, Operational Plant, and Legal. In June 23rd, the Selection Committee held a public selection meeting for a design-build team consisting of general contractors and architect engineers. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to propose a motion. I move approval of the ranking of the design and installation teams for the Orchestrate system as ranked by the Selection Committee and the Finance Committee as follows. 1, J2 Systems Solutions, Inc., with SSR Engineering and Saltco Architects, and 2, DeAngelis Diamond LLC with SSR Engineering and Salt Company Architects.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item is the tentative millage rate for fiscal year 2017. Bill Wojin discussed the process for setting a preliminary tax rate for fiscal year 17. Bill reminded the board that the enabling legislation for the taxing authority does not specify that tax revenue be allocated to one particular program or demographic such as indigent patients, but empowers the board to levy taxes up to 2 mills for valid discretionary purposes such as payment of operating expenses, debt service, capital expenditure, acquisition of real and personal property, with the only limitation being that it must be used for operations within Sarasota County. Bill reviewed growth initiatives, budget volume assumptions, and budget challenges for fiscal year 17. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to propose a motion. I move approval of setting the tentative maximum tax millage rate at the current rate of 1.0525 and of setting the dates for the tax hearings as September the 6th, 5:01 p.m. for the first public hearing and September 19th at 5:01 p.m. for the final tax hearing, as recommended by the Finance Committee.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Comments, Mr. Henry?
Just for clarification, please. I think what Mr. Strasser just said was we'd recommend not increasing the millage rate even though we have the legal ability to do so. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you very much.
Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
One more item, Mr. Chairman, insurance update. Nelson Lane, Controller, provided an insurance update. The CFO and Controller evaluated options presented by our broker. On April the 16th, 2016, we renewed current coverage with the Florida Hospital Risk Alliance for property insurance coverage. The limits of a named storm coverage were increased from $60 million to $75 million. The property premium rate of 14 cents per $100 of coverage is less than last year, even though we increased coverage from 60 million to 75 million and reduced the deductible from 5% to 3% of values. Including increased coverage, reduced deductible, and increase in our insurance valuables, the total property insurance premium was decreased approximately $318,000. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. Next is the Audit Committee. Mr. Jim Meister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Meeting of the Audit Committee was held on July 5th. Mark Thornton, who is our Director of Audit Services, requested that the board approve the Audit Services Department charter with one change as noted, and I have a proposal that I'd like to offer to you now. The approval of the audit charter, I move that the approval of the audit service charter as amended as recommended by the Audit Committee.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark provided an update of the 4-year extension with KPMG. Favorable terms were achieved and the contract has been signed. Mr. Thornton also provided a copy of KPMG 2016 audit plan. It included the audit plan timeline, deliverables, risk assessment, 2016 events and considerations, and future considerations. He also reported on a completed audit projects for the third quarter. Follow-up audits included duplicate MRNs and visit numbers, construction audit, inpatient rehabilitation, pavilion, anesthesia, in carts in the OR. All corrective actions have been completed or are in the process without exception. Audit projects completed during the third quarter include the McRoberts My Child Alarm System, the HIPAA Security, Privacy, PCI Compliance, and Meaningful Use Audit, the Sarasota Memorial Nurse and Rehab Center Audit of Controlled Substances, Identity and Access Management Controls, SMHCS Access Control Program, quarterly reporting the MSHCS Safe Practices and Drug Diversion Prevention Program, and the drug screening process. We also discussed, or he discussed, preliminary preparation of the budget, as well as the audit plan, which will be brought back to the committee and to the board at a later date. That's the concludes my presentation and report of the audit committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. One item of housekeeping here before we move to the President's report. Any citizen desiring to address the hospital board should turn in a speaker card to the board secretary. If the citizen comment pertains to an item on the agenda today, the comment will be heard early in the meeting. Otherwise, it will be heard toward the end. Speakers are asked to limit their comments to 5 minutes. Now, we'll move to the President's report. David Verinder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to start my report, as I always do, with our organizational report card for our fiscal year to date through June. We start in our service pillar and look at our HCAHPS numbers, and we have a goal of hitting 9 out of 11 of our HCAHPS indicators at the 50th percentile or higher. We are still a little bit short of that. We're at 6 out of 11, and I'll get into the detail of that here in a minute. On the outpatient side, we have a goal of being at 55 out of 58 of the domains at 50th percentile or greater. I am happy to report that we have improved a little bit, and we're now at 56 out of 58. Once again, have the detail here in a few minutes. In the people pillar, we have our turnover of part-time and full-time employees within 12 months of hire. We have a goal of having that be at 34% or lower. I'm happy to report we continue to make progress on that, and we are beating our goal and currently at 31.58%. In the quality pillar, we have an infection prevention indicator where we want our combined overall standardized infection rate to be less than 0.95, national average being 1.0, and I'm happy to report we are beating our indicator and heading 0.90. Finance pillar, Bill's already reviewed that. We have a goal of 5.2% operating margin, and I'm happy to report that we're beating that as well at 6.8%. In the growth pillar, we have our goal of on the inpatient admits of being at 35,301. We are well exceeding that this year at 39,327. And our outpatient registrations have a goal of 747,000, and we are also exceeding that at 749,000. So when we look on our HCAP scores, you can see there what the current national average is on the far left column, the middle column being where we have landed from October to June in this fiscal year, and then the difference between our score. So you can see that we do have 5 categories that we're falling short in, 2 of them being very close, being that with communication with doctors and communication about medicine. About medicines, we are continuing to have teams of people work on this. As you can imagine, any time takes a bit of work to get through that. So, but the organization is focused on that, and our staff are equally focused. In the outpatient side, you can see where we have on the left-hand column the indicators of where we are. So our year-to-date numbers. So, for example, ambulatory surgeries at 4, ERs at 10, ER in Northport's at 10, and so on down. Then you have our gap in the middle, and then the ultimate goal on the far right, which would be 100%. So we are missing goal on 2 indicators within ambulatory surgery. Just to remind you, they were a little bit lower than that before and have made some progress. So certainly on the right track. Moving our attention to people, we have a special luncheon to celebrate our employees. On June 28th, SMH leadership had the opportunity to say thanks to our employees for many achievements over the last year by serving up luncheon complete with ice cream and a DJ spinning tunes. Some of those items that we celebrated were the commitment to providing a top quality trauma center, earning a top 100 hospital ranking, over 90 years of excellent service, tremendous joint effort with a DNV certification, delivering exceptional service to our growing number of patients, making SMH one of the best places to work nationally, and earning our residency program approval this past year. So I know most of our board members were able to attend, and I will tell you, we thank each and every one of you for doing that. It means a lot to the employees when they get a chance to see you, so thank you very much. And just a couple more pictures on the next page. Staying in the people section, Bayside helps keep Sarasota beautiful. So our Bayside Center staff and family members recently continued the tradition of maintaining a section of Weber Street in conjunction with the Keep Sarasota Beautiful project by removing 70 pounds of trash. Thank you for our staff for your efforts and preserve the beauty of our community. Thank you very much to the Bayside staff. Northport community responds to the need of volunteers. Many thanks to the local community for answering the call for volunteers at Sarasota Memorial ER in Northport. A phenomenal group of individuals expressed interest, went through the onboarding process, and are now completing their training. And we appreciate everything you guys do to help coordinate that. And it really is, it makes this hospital work when we have our volunteers all engaged, and we very much appreciate that. Greg. The logistics center that we have recently opened offers increased efficiency. So Sarasota Memorial's inpatient volumes have grown, as you all know, by more than 20% over the last few years, prompting the launch of a house-wide initiative to expand capacity and ensure that enough beds are available to support our growing number of patients. In March, the capacity initiative took a key step forward with the opening of a new logistics center to manage all aspects of patient flow in one central location. Using advanced teletracking technology, the team can monitor patient flow in every part of the hospital, working closely with integrated case management, the ER, emergency nursing units, environmental services, central transport, and other key support areas The team helps to ensure appropriate patient placement and prevent unnecessary delays in care. As a result of the new logistics center and other capacity initiatives, including the hiring of hundreds of new nurses, transporters, and other critical needs staff, the hospital has seen a decrease in delays and an increase in efficiency in recent months. So thank you to Lori Lang, our Chief Operating Officer, and others who helped put this together.
Excuse me, David, I think Daryl had a question.
Oh, yes, sir.
Just for Ed and you both, I am frequently included in the secret shopper routine in Northport, and I have been nothing to report but exceptional praise for the volunteers, the new volunteers, who make people feel very welcome and pleased to be there. There are some that are above beyond others, but nevertheless, every report I got was good for your volunteers. Thanks, Ed.
Well, thank you, Mr. Henry, and please, if you have an opportunity to express our gratitude in the Northport community, just let them know how much we appreciate it. So moving into the quality area, SMH were represented in D.C. regarding the Zika virus. Sarasota infectious disease specialist Vilma Vega represented SMH at a congressional meeting with members of the Florida delegation on June 15th. She was joined by Dr. Tom Frieden, director of the CDC, to discuss risks the spreading virus poses in Florida, which leads the country in a number of reported Zika cases. The meeting was led by our own Congressman Vern Buchanan, who asked Congress to support federal funding and prepare the state and county for an outbreak. So we very much appreciate the support that Congressman Buchanan gave us, and certainly the volunteering of Dr. Vega, who took off very quickly to go up and do that testimony. This is just to let the board know and everyone else, we do have a town hall series coming up for employees. You see the dates in front of you. We'll certainly hand those out to you again later. Everyone, the board members are certainly invited to any and all of the presentations. We're going to take a little different tone this year in the fact that it gets harder and harder to get out to all of our outpatient sites as big as we've become. So we're going to live stream one of the presentations onto our Facebook page and also put it on YouTube. So we're trying to get a little bit more digitally sensitive, and we'll see how that goes. And if it goes well, we'll do it from now on. If it doesn't, we won't. How about that? So we have many upcoming programs. The two we have shown here are in the Advanced Orthopedic Solutions for Pain Joints and on pain management. We invite you to go to our website and see all the dates and times, and please RSVP for the individual results. Of course, they're all free, but we would like to know how many people are going to show up ahead of time. On July 1st, Sarasota Memorial received word we had successfully completed the application process to become a Level 2 trauma center, receiving full designation from the Florida Department of Health. This is a culmination of an intensive process that began in early 2015 with a unanimous vote from our own board of people sitting here today to commit the finances, resources, and personnel necessary to support the new trauma center, the first and only trauma program in Sarasota County. In May 2015, SMH received provisional approval from the state to open a new trauma center to earn the full 7-year verification. The hospital was required to demonstrate compliance with rigorous standards established by the Florida Department of Health. Earlier this year, officials conducted an extensive site visit after performing an in-depth review of our application. So personally, I would just like to thank the board for your unwavering support for that. It was, I think it's been one of the most monumental things we've done in a long time, and it's very much appreciated by the community, I can tell you. So thank you. And that picture is one that Mr. Taylor back here made sure that we took many pictures of them taking that provisional sign down, and I'm not sure where all he put them, but I think there was an auction going for them. This is just a picture of our certificate of approval around that project. In the growth section, our St. Armand's Urgent Care Center is to open October 1st. The new center will be Sarasota Memorial 6 Urgent Care, joining locations at Bee Ridge, Stickney Point, University, Venice, and Heritage Harbor. It'll be 8,700 square feet, 2 stories, with a potential third level, offering urgent care services, general x-ray lab, and anti-coag clinic. So I invite you to go by and take a look at the progress. And our rehab pavilion construction update. If any of you've driven by, you see that there is a massive amount of work going on out there. We are still anticipating an opening in December. You should have a complete exterior building enclosure by August 17th. So invite you to go by. If you want to go in a more close tour, we'll get you a helmet and a safety vest and schedule that. And just before I just conclude real quick, and I didn't plan this, but I see Connie Anderson sitting here. So, Connie, you want to come join me real quick? I know you didn't. And I'm also glad to see you in the audience.
Thank you.
I had informed the board this morning that you have agreed to come on board as our new chief nursing officer. And I just had the opportunity to introduce you here.
Thank you.
Connie is going to be working out transition time between now and sometime in October, November with Jan, as Jan retires to transition services over. But we couldn't be happier to have you still with the organization. How long have you been here? 20 years?
19.
19 years with the organization. So
I'm truly honored. Thank you very much. I take this responsibility greatly. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well,
and I love working with everybody, and I'll get to know you more, so thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you, Connie. Thank you very much. And that ends my report.
Thank you, David, very much. And congratulations, Connie.
Thank you.
I don't think we have any items on the consent agenda. Do we have any public comments, Karen? No public comments? Legal matters, Carol Ann.
No, I have no legal matters to report.
Thank you. If there's no other business before the board, we are adjourned, and thank you very much.